Welcome, Modern Talkers. This is Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Why? I've been not excited about, not excited, but this war zone that I'm in. I'll do a video of it. It's crazy in here and everything's everywhere. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm in a different place. I know it's just a white background always. I'm in a different position, in the room. And because the room's crazy. And there's like only 2 outlets in this whole place working, so I only had 2 options, and this was the second one. What else did I want to say about it? The lights that I usually have aren't here because someone stole them. Not really, but he always asks what and when I need it, and I try to always tell him I only need it Wednesday mornings, and you could have them literally every other day, I don't care. And every time he takes it to his house to use for the church or whatever, he tells me, and I'm like, you don't have to, I don't say this, but you don't have to tell me that. Just have them back Wednesday morning. And so I've just been letting it go, hey, yeah, that's great, sure, let it rip. And then finally I texted him. I looked everywhere for way too long, and I said, do you know where the LED lights are? Because it's possible it could be in a tarp or a bag somewhere. And he said, uh-oh, they're at my house. So whoopsie daisy, you didn't follow my only direction. You had one job. Not really. I hate when people say that, because he has his literal own job, and that's like the intern energy. It's like, you had one job, yeah, but I also am doing it for free, and I get no respect here, and I hate it here. So that's why I messed up my one job. And plus, interns do everything that everyone else doesn't want to do. So it's not just one job, it's really like 1,000 little horrible jobs. Yeah, so that's been my morning, and I've been a little stressed up until now. And I shut off the AC in both rooms, which that room shouldn't do anything. I don't think it's even hooked up, but I shut that off too, and the AC's still going, so the audio might be a little bit, leave a little bit more to be desired, as they say. So that's where I'm at, and literally where I'm at, and emotionally I'm a little high tension. But I shouldn't be, because 2 days ago, I think, I was on a pontoon boat, just chilling. My Myrtle parents, I don't know if I've talked about them on the podcast, but there's 2 people from the church that I met that are just super sweet and generous and nice to me, and to anybody who would be willing to spend time with them or whatever. But for whatever reason, we picked each other. So I'm over their house a lot, and I've become part of their family, and they're in their 50s, I think, and they have kids around my age, and their daughter has kids, and so they rented a pontoon boat and invited me and my parents. So we had a boat day, and that was super nice, and they fished, and I never fished before. And then I talked about this in therapy, how I have this idea in my head for things for the first time, and I won't do it if it's doesn't have the potential to live up to what I'm thinking. And when I was a kid, my uncle, one of my uncles, was like a big fisher, maybe still is, and he said like, yeah, I'll take you fishing sometime, whatever. And then I had this idea in my head, how we'd go fishing. So I don't know if it was this clear back then, or if it kind of got built up over time, but what it became is me one-on-one with someone, like bonding in a lake with bucket hats on, and just chilling and talking with a cooler of like sandwiches and drinks, and we'd really go for it, but that never happened with him or anyone else. And I've had a couple opportunities to fish other than that, and I just was like, if I'm not gonna really go for it, I'm not gonna go for it. So when we went on the boat, they brought an extra one for me, which was really nice. And at first I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll try it. If everyone else is doing it, what am I not gonna do it? And I got it in my hand, and I unhooked the hook, and it just didn't feel right. And plus it wasn't a big boat, but just pontoon, not, I don't know if you've been on one, but it's just not huge. So everyone was like in a corner or the side, and I didn't have a place enough where I was comfortable to like, do the old flick and swim. That's not what it's called. I'm an uncle too. He had he's like 2-ish, and he's in a phase where he just likes to throw stuff. So we were worried that he would throw his fishing rod, but it was fake. It had just like a little fake fish on the end. It didn't have a hook in case so I just hung out with him, and I guess I kind of fished with him, even though it wasn't real in any capacity. But I did have a rod in my hand. Gross. And because I had to hold it with him because he would throw it, so I had to keep my hand under it all the times. And I made that gross by saying it was gross, but it's all good. So it was a really fun day, and I ended up sticking to my guns. And I don't know if that's a good thing, because what we also talked about in therapy was, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. I wonder if anyone has commented yet, ever, on any of the podcasts. But it's so weird. I trip over that every week, I know, but I really want to get these out. Darn it, I've been super busy pontooning it. No, but I have things in my mind that I don't want to do unless it's with a girl, and just because I like it better with a girl, so why do it not as good like alone or with a friend? It doesn't mean as much, because those things, like I'm thinking like a pumpkin patch, like I've done that with one friend, I think, and then I did it with girlfriends, and I did it with one girlfriend, but that's just a thing that you don't do unless you're with a girl, man. I don't know, or if you have kids, then you could do everything. That would be awesome. Yeah, there's like not an excuse to do anything, not do anything, because you have to show them everything for the first time and stuff. But anyway, trail off. Yeah, so pumpkin patch is one of the things you don't want to do, and I think the day that I would do it, I would feel sad, be like, this is not as fun as it should be. But then if I do it with a girl later, I think I'll look back on that time and be like, man, like he really stuck through it and he made it, and now he's with a girl and he's killing it. Not that you can't be killing it without a girl, which is something I'm working on. It was just a fundamental belief of mine that it's not, like, life isn't as good as it could be without a girl. I don't know where I got that from, and I don't know why it stayed so long. And it's true, it's awesome with a girl friend, you know, a girl that you love and stuff, but it also could rip when it's just you in a different way. And so I'm really starting to appreciate being single. And I didn't plan on talking about like almost any of this stuff, which is funny because that's always what ends up happening. I have like a loose outline and then I talk about stuff that I didn't even think I wanted to or needed to talk about. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, life rips with being single too. And like I acknowledge the things that were better being single earlier in my development of who I am now, and it's weird thinking about people watching this months from now and I'll be completely different from even now. So when you're seeing this, hopefully I'll be even more progressed, but I still want to hear what you relate to and stuff like that in the comments or DMs. You don't have to make it like public, just let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it and keep in touch with me. So yeah, being single rips. So I acknowledged the things, but I didn't appreciate them because I was like, well, I just would totally rather be with a girl. Specifically the last one. And I'm not gonna cry. I'm not even close to crying, but that's like sometimes the laugh I do right before I cry or right as I'm crying. And who knows what I was saying. I think that was it. I'm just appreciating. I'm trying to think of the things I appreciate. Well, I wouldn't have gone on the boat without, I wouldn't have gone. I would have been with my girl. And so that's something that I appreciate. And I wouldn't have done. I'm closer with people that I would have never even met, or I would have barely seen, because I just would have been satisfied with my girlfriend, that I wouldn't have to go to other people I wouldn't even have time to do that. So I'm appreciating that, and there's other things I'm sure, and I can't remember, and I'll try to think of them for maybe next time. Well, dude, I visited Pete those 2 weeks in a row, and more than that before that, so I definitely would have done that. Yeah, so I'm just appreciating building the relationships that I haven't, I didn't get to foster as thoroughly as I would have with a girlfriend, and maybe I talked about that before, but now I'm seeing the fruits of it. There's other stuff that isn't like relational, like, you know, relationship, like friend relationships, that are perks. Like fantasy football, I'm in 4 leagues, and I had 3 drafts in one day, and that was crazy. It was fun, but you know, it's too much in one day. But so I don't know if I would have been, or I might not take it as seriously or something. And I love football, so I'm gonna watch every game as I can, as many games as I can, since I'm single and there's no reason not to. Last year I had a deal with myself because 2 years before that I did try to watch every game because it was like pandemic still, kind of, and I was home a lot and stuff. But I had a girlfriend at that time too, and it sounds like I've had girlfriends now that it seems like I've had girlfriends too much. Which I don't think so, because I've only had 3 in 25 years, but the last 2 have been back to back, so that's the only reason why. So yeah, that year, 2021, I think someone's here. But I tried to watch every game if it was semi-convenient, and I think it took a toll on my relationship because she didn't care for football, which I liked that she didn't really care for sports. Because if you care for sports that much, you're weird, and I'm weird. So, and I like to think I have a healthy balance with that. So I'd rather have someone who's not into sports and like level-headed than someone who's super into sports and is like doesn't see the beauty of it all, and you know how silly sports are, and how you would root for someone if they were on your team, but as soon as they get traded you hate them, and then when they go from another team to yours you love them. Like, it's really, you know, arbitrary and silly, but you know that's what sports are. But I understand that we're kind of we're literally playing make believe. Like, this guy's from New York, but he plays for the 49ers in California. You know, so who cares? They're not really from there. And that doesn't make it any less special or anything, but we're just kind of making believe that they're a representation of our city. So what I appreciate about being single. So last year I made the deal with myself, for the sake of my relationship, to only watch the Steeler game, and then for whatever reason, if we couldn't be together, I would watch other games. But and that seemed to work, except we broke up. But during that time, it seemed to work. And so now I have no real excuse to not watch everything as much as I can. So I'm excited for that. And the year I watched all the games, I won the fantasy football. So maybe I'll just be a billionaire, since I'm in four leagues, by watching football and knowing about it. My dad broke his leg. Isn't that crazy? It actually happened the day before I recorded this last one, like, 12 hours before, but I wasn't ready to talk about it or process it. It was when he was visiting here, and my Myrtle parents came to visit the beach house that they're at, because I wanted to see it and hang out and play cards. And so I took them the back way to, dang, that's crazy. If I wouldn't have taken them the back way, he might have not fallen. But yeah, so we went the back way because we wanted to show them the pool first, and they like the pool and stuff. And then we walked up the back stairs, and I was like, this is the house. And then one of the girls who was staying there was like, hey Tommy, I'm gonna entertain them for you, but your dad fell in the front out there, you might want to check on him. And I was like, okay. And she said it in kind of a way that it was a funny fall. She didn't say it kind of the way I said it. She tried to keep like the vibe going for the parents, my Myrtle parents. But so she was like, hey, I'll entertain them. Tommy, I think your dad fell, so you might want to check on that. Anyway, so this is the kitchen, and and so I was like, okay. And I go out there and I hear it, like the Peter Griffin, the Peter Griffin meme or whatever. thankfully, oh no, I'm thinking of something else. Peter Griffin, when he's like all like that, it wasn't like that, thankfully. It was just like the so at least that made me laugh. And there was like 4 or 5 people out there tending to him, and it just happened, so he didn't know. He came down to greet the Myrtle parents, and he just missed us. And the way it was like dusk, and the way the stairs are, they were gray, and it's hard to tell how many stairs were left. And he thought there weren't any stairs left, but there was one more, so he skipped that step and fell farther than he thought. And he, like, if this is his foot, he landed like this, and so he broke his ankle, and then this is his shin, and since this went like that, the pressure of him falling on the side of his foot broke the 2 bones going up the shin. So it's terrible, and we didn't know this at the time, and we were hoping it was just like a sprained ankle or rolled ankle or whatever. And he was laying there, and he was afraid to look at it. And one of the guys that was staying with us is a cop, and so he was like technically a first responder or whatever. So he looked at it, and he's like, okay, it doesn't look bad, like nothing's poking out or anything. Which is funny because it didn't look bad, but it was really bad. But it could have been like blown up, swelling, and it not actually be anything. So that's comforting to know. If something bad happens to you, you don't know until you get like an x-ray or whatever. And they were debating him even going to the hospital because, you know, they're all short-staffed and it takes forever, and it's probably nothing. It's probably just something rolled, and they can't even do anything about it. So thank goodness they actually went, and they were there, I think, 6 hours from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. or something. So it was bad, but both my parents went, and then I stayed at the house to play cards because I'm a good son. And I feel bad about that, but they couldn't really do anything with me there. I guess I could have just been emotional support. But they told me like I would have gone, but they were like, no, just stay, play cards and stuff. And I was like, you know, I'm not gonna say no to having fun over sitting in a hospital. And it definitely was the wrong move, and I feel bad about that. But part of me, it's so stupid and so selfish. I wanted to be there at the house while everyone was making jokes about it, because that's like cathartic for me, and I just like to laugh, and especially something that terrible I need to laugh at. So I wanted to be there for all the jokes for when they were fresh. I didn't want people to tell me them after they were funny and stuff. They were like, oh yeah, John last night said blah blah blah. So there's no John at the house, but yeah. So I did get to hear the jokes and make the jokes, so that was good. And then later, I said, hey, do you want me to bring anything, to make it better for you guys? And my mom said a pillow and some waters and a charger. So I brought 2 pillows because one was really fluffy and one was really hard, and I didn't know which one they wanted, and so I was like, I'll just bring both. And so it ended up really working out because COVID or whatever, and short-staffed and low supplies, supply chain, whatever. They didn't have any more wheelchairs at the hospital, which blows my mind. And I didn't see anyone else wheeling around, so I don't know how that works exactly. I don't know if they just had 0 and they're like, we probably don't need that. But it was like a mix between a forklift and a wheelchair. You had to clasp 2 rods together, again rods, you know, like a kind of like a lawnmower. You guys know what that is? Yeah, have you ever heard of grass? So you clasp it together and then it locks otherwise, and then you push. But it was a super uncomfortable. That's where the kind of forklifts comes in. It was like not comfortable at all. And so the one pillow they put to prop up his leg, and the other pillow he used to make the chair more comfortable. So they're like, thank you for bringing two, because they laughed at me at first, like, why did you bring two? And so I'm a good son after all. And I stayed a little bit, and then I had work the next day or something, so I had to go to sleep. But I kept my ringer on in case they needed anything, and they'd wake me up. Yeah, so that's my dad. My dad broke his leg, and so he might need surgery, but we don't know yet. But he might be healed by now, if you're listening to this. I've been doing stand-up every week for a while now, which is really good, and I'm proud of myself. And every time I'm like, I don't need to do this. I don't have good enough material. I don't have new material. Blah blah blah. It's far. It takes a long time. I'm tired. I did a lot today. I have a lot to do tomorrow. There's just so many reasons not to do something, anything, but especially stand up. I know the crowd's gonna be bad. You know that thing. So last week, the day after I did the podcast last week, I went to a place called Caspin Coffee in Murrells Inlet, I think, and technically, and it's just like this tiny coffee shop, really small, and there were like 15 people there max, including, they share a space with a ceramicist, which is the proper term for the person who makes ceramics, because potters are stupid. You know, when you hear potter, you think hairy. So I think they made up ceramicists to make them sound a little more upscale, fancy, sophisticated. So there's a ceramicist in the back, and she was having people in there. It seemed like they were just friends. They weren't even doing ceramics, but whatever, I don't care. But they weren't really listening, so that kind of bummed me out. But there were other 10 people there, which like filled the room, like the perimeter of the room. And so yeah, there were some younger people there, and so that's obviously more my crowd, because you want to talk to who your peers are. And I did okay there, and it was one of my better written bits that I'm really proud of, but they didn't laugh as much as I wanted, especially for that kind of crowd, and that's okay. But I think the first time someone does comedy in a place, people need to get used to, like, because it's vulnerable to laugh, and especially in front of other people, and you know, it's especially with the daytime and the lights are on and all that stuff. So it's because it's considered like impolite to laugh really loud in public, other than at a comedy show. But I do that all the time. So I performed it pretty well, which is always something that I usually, there's something like, oh, I forgot to say this, I rushed through that, or I fumbled this. And that one I felt pretty good about. And then when I sat down, a guy that's seen me like maybe 3 times was like, that was your best written bit, that was good. And I think he's like my age, and I obviously said thank you, and I was very pleased that he said that, but I was like, he saw me 3 times, man. But anyway, so Yeah. And then there weren't that many people there because that was the first open mic they had there. And the host, Mike, said that you could come up again if you want to. And I was like, well, I didn't prepare more material and stuff. I'm not gonna do that. And I was like, it might be fun to kind of just go up loosey-goosey and be like, take these with a grain of salt. These are half-baked kind of things that I haven't done in a while or ever. So it's way lower pressure, and I warmed up the audience already I warmed up the audience for myself basically already. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. And I had to be at dinner in like 30 minutes or something with my family, but I didn't I didn't have to go right then. So I was like, I have time, so I'm just gonna sit in my car anyway, so let's go for it. And that went better than my prepared written thing that were really good, laugh wise at least. What was I gonna say? Who knows? We don't know. What I was saying is it went really well. And I did some more absurdist stuff, which I didn't know how that crowd would take, but they totally was with it. And there was some dark stuff in there too, and they were cool with that, which is good. And someone like audibly said like, yeah, I like that darker stuff or something to that effect. And I was like, okay, bet. I thought someone was here. Maybe they are. And then last night I did stand up as well. I did it. I didn't think I could, but I ended up going to the open mic right before my first softball game. And I'm thankful that it lined up like that. It was really cool to do two very different things that I love back to back. And so I did the open mic at Benjamin's Bakery, which is a super good place if you're anywhere near here. The chai lattes are crazy good. You need to get them. I got them like every week or every day when my parents were here because they were paying. But it was another old crowd and small crowd, and I barely got any laughs. But my hardest laugh, and this is so frustrating, was I have a bit about how someone made fun of me for liking chai lattes and drinking chai lattes a lot, and I don't know who told like why he thinks that drinking coffee is like a manly thing, because it's literally just watered down beans. Like if you're a real man, you're gonna crunch on some beans, some raw beans. So I never said that last part before in that bit where I say you should just be crunching on some beans. That's the only manly thing. And that was like the least funny thing that I said. That was like a punchline. And it's not even really a punchline. It's like a decorative filler of a joke. And that's the hardest thing that they laughed at, which made me mad because I don't know, old people like the simpler stuff and don't like the kind of witty, highbrow, absurdist kind of things that I like to do, which is fine. But I find myself doing some slight variations on my jokes that I think older people would like more. And I don't want to make a habit of that because that's not who I want to make. That's not who I want to make funny to. That's not who I want to make funny to. Simple as that. So, like long term, I want, I want the young people to like me. And, because that's the future. I'm the future. But yeah, so it's annoying that they don't like the higher brow thing, But after I went up, I held the door for a lady that was coming in, and back in, because she was doing smoking break. She was doing smoking. Yeah, and she was on her way back in, and I held the door for her on my way out to softball, and she was like, "Oh, what you said was so relatable. I have really bad time with directions, and I love chai lattes too." And so she seemed to enjoy it, but I think maybe old people don't laugh as much, and they just kind of like quietly enjoy it, like, and that's fine as long as they enjoy it. That's all I really care about. But obviously the best barometer for me is hearing the laughter, because I know that then that works. But so I think maybe that's why I don't like performing for old people as much, just because they don't laugh as much, just because it's like in their nature. They've laughed too many times. They're like, I've heard it all, or it's too much energy to laugh, literally, which is so sad. But one thing I'm really proud of, last night I thought of, like I said, I did something about directions. And if you know about Myrtle Beach, I think it's other places too, but there's a road called 17, and it splits off into 17 Business and 17 Bypass, which 17 Business just means that there's more businesses there, and then the other way is, I guess, more residential and more of a freeway kind of deal. And so I said, people say like go down 17 Business and then cross over 544 and hop on 17 Casual or whatever. And I never said that before, and I never made that connection, but I knew there was something there in that joke, because it's actually 17 Bypass. I don't have to explain the joke now, because I feel like I might have went over people's heads that don't live here, but business and casual are two different ways to dress. So I thought it'd be funny to say 17 Business and then go over 544 and go to 17 Casual. So so I was proud of that, and that got some chuckies. That's what I call laughs, chuckles. I never called it that before. So I'm proud that I wrote something on stage, which almost never happens on purpose. But as I was saying it, I did that thing where I let it flow through me. So I wish I could do that more, and I don't know how to do that. But I guess I'm learning little by little, because it just happened last night. So something I talked about last week with my therapist was observing your feelings, because I told her I had a problem, and we're running up on time here, but I had a problem. This is one of the last things I'll say. I had a problem, like I would go through phases where I'd feel like, I'm completely feel good and I'm not really thinking about like bad stuff, and then days where I would just be like sad and like overthinking and all that, like having just big, emotional roller coasters. And I was like, I want to be able to more just dip my toe in, because I do want to feel those feelings and acknowledge those feelings, because I think it's unhealthy and it'll just build up inside you if you don't address and acknowledge those. But so I was like, I don't know how to do that. I just want to like kind of dip my toe in and just kind of not just like nosedive in there and just be drowning for days, or be running around playing completely dry, and I just didn't feel like I had it in between. And she basically just said, acknowledge your feelings and observe your feelings, but don't identify with them. I don't know if that makes sense to everyone out there, but if it doesn't make sense, leave it in the comments. Maybe I or someone else could explain it further to you. So, because I can't think of how to say it right now, but if I wrote it down, this is how I write. I'm ambidextrous. Imagine someone writing like that, like the beginning and then the middle of the sentence and then it ends. Wow, that'd be so funny. What was I saying? Oh, so yeah, acknowledging your feelings and observing them without identifying with them. So I had a bad dream and I woke up like with anxiety and overthinking. When I noticed that I was feeling that way, I said to myself, "Good job, big boy. You have big feelings." And not in a condescending way. I don't know if that's how it came off, but like, oh yeah, like it's really let that out. Explore that. And once I said that, it just like felt immediate relief, like release of that tension. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I went right back to sleep. And so I recognized that was just like my egoing, and egoing on and on. And that was like a jealous thing that my ego was hurt by. So, which didn't even really happen because it was a dream, but yeah, I identified that, and then it totally subsided. And if you can, once I remembered I had to do that, I implemented it really well, but sometimes you forget, and so if you need that in your life, definitely try that out if you haven't yet. Just acknowledge. It's hard to identify when you're mad because you're mad and you just want to be mad. But if you get to a place where you know that you're mad and you don't want to be like, I see you. Okay, I know it's hard. Because that's not who you really are deep down, is this angry person. It's really your true self deep inside you. And your ego is the one that's mad. He's like the fickle person that you inside that you can't wrangle sometimes. But if you're in touch with your inner true self more, you could calm the ego down. And that's like a lot of spiritual stuff, is figuring out your true self and taming the ego. Not that the ego is a bad thing, because you need the ego sometimes for business stuff. But do you need business stuff? Don't know. So yeah, when I went this week to therapy, I was like, I feel so much better because of that advice, and I kept doing that throughout the week. And instead of like doing a nosedive and just drowning for days, I would do like a quick cannonball, go in and then pop right back up, and like I was dry immediately, in the good way, and so I've just that's been really helping me a lot, is what I'm saying. And she said, like, think of yourself as a lion tamer with your emotions, if that helps. So I think I thought of that a few times. I don't know if I really needed that imagery, but it did help me, especially at first. But with being happy, I think of a video. I'm gonna try to find it, of a turtle trying to get on top of a log and just stay there and chill. But it's a log, so it's gonna flip, and so he kept trying to get up. He would get up, and then he'd fall back down, and then he'd try to get up, and since him trying to get up makes the log go, it's still spinning by the time he gets up there, and then he falls back down. And so I think with happiness, it's like that because you try to get up the log, and it's really hard to get up the log, and once you get there, it's hard to stay there. Especially if you've been sad for a long time, the bottom of the log is waterlogged, so that's heavier. So it's, even if you do get to the top, it might flip back over just because you've been sad for so long. It's the default. And so really the work that I'm trying to do is try to keep flipping it over as much as I can, and eventually the waterlogged side, or the sad side, will be flipped on its head, and I'll have the sunny side up. So that's like the happiness. I don't know if this is totally tracking with you guys, but if you keep turning a log over, it's gonna flip, and the bottom side will be waterlogged, so your default will be happy, and then you just kind of try to stay at the top. But it's hard to get on top for a long time, and if you do, you can't get too worried about it, because if you stay too long at the bottom, it's going to get waterlogged fully again, and you have to start all over. So you have to keep, it's like a discipline to stay happy, I think. So that was a visual that I popped in my head as a allegory, imagery, whatever you want to call it, for happiness. And I think I'm really turning it over a lot, which is exciting, and I feel blessed and happy that I have the opportunity to do that, and I can follow through with it at this time in my life. And sometimes you don't even get that opportunity, and you have to make it, but you don't have the facilities or faculties or whatever you want to say to make it, and then you get lost, and that freaking sucks. And I'm sorry if any of you guys are going through that right now, and that's life. So I know I'm gonna be back there. Hopefully it's not for a long time, and I have the abilities to keep flipping and discipline, have discipline with the flipping, discipline with the flipping. But yeah, so I'm thankful, and I talked about that. I think that probably helped too, because I talked about being grateful and seeing the magic in every moment. A lot of times we have this idea of magic and like magical things. I'm trying to think of one that, like, a boat ride, on beautiful, it's a gorgeous day, the water's clear, all this stuff. But when we went, it was overcast, so you didn't see the sun at all, which I kind of liked, because that would have been way too hot. But that's not like the idyllic boat day without any sun. And the water looks like Pepsi. It's really dark, and I'll do a picture of it that I took of the back of the boat, with the water going through the engine. But there was magic still, because I had that's how I perceive things more now, is we had our family together, and I had this beautiful bonding moment with the one 2-year-old fishing, and that's magical too. And so you got to see the magic in little things, and it's not always going to be grand things. Even in the shower, like, I just love the heat on my body. It just feels so good. Like, that's magic too. You just have to be appreciative of it and see it. My therapist said, think of feelings as kind of like funny jack-in-the-boxes, and like they're constantly turning, and then sometimes they surprise you and blindside you. But like, just like feel like, you got me, man. You just you got me with that sadness. Oh man. Okay, well, let's put you back down. And that's basically it. You just, you're like, sadness, alone, oh, anger, what are you doing there? Come on. And then you throw them back in there, and then it just keeps going. And you shut it when it pops. That's all. Just shut the boxes. Wow, that makes it sound so easy. And it can be, but we make it complicated. We love to make it complicated. So the other thing is, we're trying to work on balance a lot, and that's always a never-ending thing of work and play and all that stuff. We talked about kind of enjoying being in the driver's seat, because this is kind of a driver's seat time in my life. Like I'm really gripping the wheel and taking turns and whatever, going up a hill, running up that hill. I don't know that song, but I know I like it from Stranger Things. Something like that, right? Yeah. But really, you're driving up that hill, meaning like, progressing in my life, emotionally and careerally. But you want to be driving, but you also don't want to miss the beautiful sunset that's happening. And if you keep your eyes on the road, you don't see the beauty. And if you keep your eyes on the beauty, you're going to crash. So you need to, keep that flow, that beautiful balance. That's what I'm trying to work on. And every day it's hard, and every day, it doesn't have to be every day has to be a balance. It could be one day you work really hard and the next day you just chill. And if that's what you want to do, I guess at this point it has to be more work than play, but it doesn't mean you can't have no play or relax or whatever you want to, whatever your antithesis to the other thing is. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And when we talked about this in the therapy, she said that I'm doing really good, and that feels amazing, because obviously therapies is just trapeziists know best about that stuff. So that's the ultimate compliment. And she said, you seem more free, which is something that I said about someone else. I was like, I saw this video and they just seem so free, and like I don't feel that way. And I'm jealous that they're like that, and I'm also sad that I'm not like that. And she said, yeah, you're totally way freer, and just judging by the way that the stuff that I told her, and I was like, wow, yeah, I am, because that was one of the first sessions where I talked about the free, like I value being free really, really a lot. And yeah, it's beautiful that I've came so far, and it doesn't even feel like that long, and hasn't felt a lot like work, because it's come decently easy, and but the hard part is the little disciplines every day. If you quit doing those, then you flip that log really quick. But it's not that hard if you just keep making that choice. The hard part is the choice, but the actual going through with it usually isn't that bad. Every once in a while it gets tough, but a lot of times it's just little decisions and disciplines to get you there. And one of the things that we kind of talked about, how I'm free, like feeling free. One of the girls that I talked about last episode, that 7-year-old with the little kid philosophy that blew my mind. I'm really hot now. I'm worried that the video is not working for some reason, but But she said she gave everyone these satchel thingies, the jerseys, and and I put it on and was like happy to do it, and just did it the whole week, and her mom complimented me to my mom about like, oh, I love how game he was to just do that, and that's like being free is like embracing your inner child and not being bothered by life's worries, and that's kind of what I think about as free. And so like getting in touch with your inner kid is a good way to be free, and so that's like one of the examples of me feeling free and being more free. Wow, we did it. This one was a good one, man. Geez, I hope it worked. Anyway, thank you for listening. Truly, truly, truly. Subscribe, like it, kiss it, don't want to miss it. Yeah, you know what to do. And it truly matters, and you truly matter. And don't forget that, what is that saying that I coined? Discipline those boxes? Was that it? I don't know. You know what I said. If you don't, go back and listen. Yeah, shut those boxes. That's what you should remember. Ding 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 ding. Aloneness. See ya. All right, thank you. That ended weird. Thank you, and I hope this made you think, and stay in touch, please. What's up, fellas? Oh. Is this lighting better? Or it's the same?